one of the things that I found really frustrating when I was doing my first lean bulk trying to build muscle was determining whether I was gaining lean muscle or whether I was putting on excess body fat. And I do see a lot of people put on body fat very quickly, which then forces them to go back into a cut. I also see a lot of people doing their lean bulks completely blindly without any kind of feedback with what they're doing is actually working or not. This is why in this video, I want to share with you 6 different things you can do to determine whether you're actually building muscle or not. And some of these metrics here will be objective, others will be a little bit more subjective. The key is to really use a combination of these so you can then determine whether you're on the right track or not. So without any further ado, let's dive right into it. The first sign you want to look for is your strength and performance. In other words, are you getting better in the gym? Are you able to add more weight? Are you able to do more reps? Are you able to do a combination of both while maintaining good technique? All those are excellent signs that if your body weight is going up and your training performance is going up at the same time, that you are making some solid gains. Now, how fast you progress really depends on your experience level. A beginner can walk into the gym and every single time they do that, they're going to get a bunch of PRs, maybe on every single exercise, while an experienced lifter may need several months until they can add a significant amount of weight to an exercise. And that's okay, that's normal, but progress is still being made and it's important you're able to recognize it. And this is why it's so critical to keep a clean and consistent training log, whether that's writing it down on a piece of paper, using a spreadsheet, using an app. It doesn't really matter what method you use, you have to keep track of things. I recommended Strong app a few times here. They're not sponsoring the channel, I just like the app. I think it's very convenient. It even tells you when you hit a PR. And sometimes that can be very motivating, knowing that you just did the best you've ever done for this exercise. So don't do this blindly. Make sure you keep track of things and you're gonna be very glad that you did so. Now, the second thing you wanna keep track of are your tape measurements. And don't wanna make this one too complicated. Keep it simple, do it once a month, and also do waist plus a couple of other body parts you want to bring up, whether that's chest plus arms, chest plus thighs, thighs plus your neck, your calves, or whatever you want to pay attention to. You want to make sure the waist is there to tell you whether you're gaining body fat around the midsection too fast, and the rest of those are going to tell you whether you're improving in size in those areas that you want to bring up. And with this, I also highly recommend that you set a reminder for yourself in your calendar because it's so easy to forget based on my experience, and you end up missing out on those measurements. And while you're at it, a reminder also to hit the like button below this video because that also leads to way more gains. Now, the third thing you want to keep track of is your body weight. And I'm a really big fan of building up the habit of doing daily weigh-ins because our weight can fluctuate so much. It really does help to have that daily data so we can then average that out and then determine the actual trend. And when we compare fat loss versus building muscle, with fat loss, we're looking more at weekly averages, and with gaining muscle, because it's a slower process, we're looking at monthly averages. So it takes us a bit longer to see what's actually going on. And as a general rule, my recommendation is to gain at about 1% of your body weight per month. So if you're someone who is around 150 to 160 pounds, that's roughly around 1.5 pounds of gaining per month. Now, if you're gaining double that, well, then there's a strong chance that you're gonna gain a lot of extra body fat. But if you're gaining a little bit over that, now this is a good opportunity to then see how the other metrics compare as well. So let's say you're gaining 2 pounds per month, but your waist is staying exactly the same because you have that data as well. Then your training performance is definitely going up. And let's say visually, you're also not looking a lot fatter. So that's a great place to be in. So you're actually gaining at a good rate. And until the metrics tell you otherwise, you should keep going. And this is why it's so important to have a system in place, look at multiple metrics so you can make the best decision and know what's actually going on. Now, the fourth thing that you want to do that's going to help you a lot is take regular progress photos. I recommend doing these bi-weekly or monthly. You can actually use the same reminder as the tape measurements to do them at the same time. And because now we're getting into the territory of subjective data, it's very important that you standardize the process of taking these photos. So I recommend using the same poses, so full body, front, side, and back. I also recommend using the same lighting, same location if you can, whether you're in a pump or not, same camera or smartphone, because a little bit of a difference here, you shift the angle a tiny bit, you're now with a pump, you're changing the lighting a little bit, you can look like you gained 10 pounds of muscle. That's really not what you want. You want to have the most honest and consistent comparison that you can get. And I also recommend having someone else, if you can, have to evaluate these photos because we're too subjective. We sometimes can't detect these subtle changes. If you have a trained eye like a coach or an other experienced lifter to take a look at these, you'll really get some valuable feedback like that. Now, instead of photos, you can also do video. That's another option as well. So it really depends on you, but really it all has to be standardized. And this is going to be very, very useful data. If there's one thing I wish I had more of on my journey, would be more photos. I really didn't take as many as I should in the first few years. And it would be such a cool thing, not even just for fitness, but for general life. A library of how your physique changed over time would be a really nice thing to show your kids, grandkids. I think it's an awesome thing to do, so don't slack on it. Make sure you set that reminder and let's get some photos. Now, the fifth sign you want to recognize is how do your clothes fit? Do your shirts feel a little bit tighter around your chest, your back, your shoulders, maybe your arms? Do your pants feel a little bit tighter around your glutes or your thighs? These are all great signs in combination with the other metrics. If you notice that your waist is staying the same, your body weight is going up, your training performance is going up, and then on the photos, you look as lean as you did before. That's a great place to be in. Now, if on the other hand, you notice that your clothes are exactly the same fit, and your waist is going up and your belt has to be loosened up a little bit, well, that's not a good place to be in. That can indicate that you've gained a bit more body fat than you wanted to. So it's time to revisit your plan. I still remember the first year on my fitness journey where after 6-7 months, I had to change my shirts and buy ones with more stretchy materials because my arms grew a bit more than the rest of my body because of better arm genetics. I was so inspired and motivated by that. And I do believe that if you're a beginner and someone who's just starting out, it's so important that you're able to recognize wins like this. And I know we say it's a lifelong journey of self-improvement, but it's so important that you recognize these milestones along the way because they keep you more motivated, they inspire you, they have you recommit to the journey so you're able to be more consistent, you have more discipline, and you really enjoy the process a lot more. Now, the sixth sign that can be very helpful, even though it's not the most objective thing in the world, are comments from other lifters, especially those who haven't seen you in a while. One of my favorite moments is when I go back home, visit family, and I train at my old hometown gym with my buddies who know me since the beginning. And these are guys that have been training way before I have. So I've been lifting for 15, 20 years. And I go back there and then I get feedback on my progress. And I've done this over the years and I always look forward to it because in a way it keeps me accountable, it keeps me more motivated. A couple of positive comments here or there, it does really make a huge difference. And I understand not everybody has a setup like this, but even a comment from someone in the gym that has seen you for the last 3 months and says, hey, dude, keep up the good work. You've done a great job here. I'm seeing some changes. 6 months already, you've been consistent. That is all great because this journey, if you're building muscle naturally, will take a very long time. We're not talking about weeks. We're not talking about months. We're really talking about years and decades. And sometimes when you just look at yourself, you can't see what's going on. What are you working toward? So by getting some objective feedback from someone else, that can really make a big difference on your progress, can keep you encouraged, can keep you grinding and focusing on that process so you can finally get to your goal physique. And I highly recommend that you don't do this blind, that you follow these metrics that I mentioned in this video so you can ensure that your hard work goes in the right direction. Also, what's going to help you with that is making sure you hit that subscribe button below, enable notifications as well. Details for coaching if you want to work with me are in the description below. I'm also going to have a video here at the end that's going to help you build more muscle. So check out that video and I'm going to see you right there.